I can't believe Star Trek. Strange New Worlds is copying Buffy twice. Star Trek and Buffy the Vampire Slayer might seem like wildly different shows. One is a utopian sci-fi adventure exploring the cosmos, and the other is a supernatural teen drama about slaying monsters, navigating high school trauma, and saving the world on a weekly basis. But Strange New Worlds continues to prove that storytelling influences transcend genre. And now, incredibly, it looks like the show is borrowing from Buffy not once, but twice, weaving in stylistic choices and narrative experiments that feel straight out of Sunnydale. The musical episode returns. Trek style. When Strange New Worlds debuted its musical episode in Season 2, it was already clear the show wasn't afraid of genre experimentation. The episode Subspace Rhapsody signaled a new creative boldness, a willingness to try something that would have been unthinkable in the 90s era of Star Trek, even after Voyager's occasional comedic detours. But the homage to Buffy was unmistakable. Buffy's classic Season 6 episode Once More, with Feeling, revolutionized the musical format for TV, turning character insecurities into catchy lyrics and using the musical conceit to advance emotional arcs rather than simply functioning as spectacle. Strange New Worlds borrowed this DNA wholesale. The heightened emotions, the vulnerability turned into melody, the group choruses revealing inner conflict. Even the episode structure echoed Buffy. Mysterious phenomenon forces characters to involuntarily sing. Emotional truths spill out. And the final reveal ties the crisis to unresolved internal tension. It wasn't just a musical episode. It was a Buffy-style musical episode. And now, the show seems ready to double down. Rumors and hints from the cast and crew suggest that Strange New Worlds is prepping a second high-concept experiment in Season 3, one that again mirrors Buffy's approach to storytelling in a startlingly direct way. A bottle episode with a dark twist. If the musical episode wasn't enough of a signal, Strange New Worlds is reportedly planning a bottle episode focused entirely on psychological breakdown, another Buffy-esque move that tracks closely with one of the most iconic and chilling episodes of Buffy, The Body. But instead of dealing with human death in the literal sense, the Strange New Worlds version appears to revolve around memory loss, trauma projections, or potentially the collapse of a simulation environment. The show has already explored memory and consciousness before. Lon's encounter with the time traveler in Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow gave SNW its emotional gut punch, so a deeper dive into psyche-driven storytelling feels natural. Like Buffy, Strange New Worlds thrives when its characters are tested emotionally, not just physically. Pike's burden of knowing his future fate mirrors Buffy's identity crisis arcs. Spock's battle between logic and emotional expression feels not unlike Buffy's struggle between duty and personal desire. And Una's fight for belonging after being persecuted for her genetic modifications echoes Buffy's post-resurrection guilt, questioning purpose, identity, and the right to exist. The bottle episode approach allows the series to go introspective, stripping away big action and replacing it with raw character vulnerability. Buffy mastered this form, and Strange New Worlds seems ready to continue that tradition. And yes, it's very Buffy to hammer its heroes emotionally until they crack open. The shared DNA goes deeper than you think. The similarities between Buffy and Strange New Worlds aren't accidental. Tonally, both shows blend humor with darkness, lighthearted banter with existential dread. In Buffy, a witty quip might be followed by a scene of devastating loss. Strange New Worlds does the same thing, and fans have noticed. Ensemble-driven structure? Check. Season arcs centered around character trauma? Check. Episodes that completely shift tone or genre for experimentation? Double check. And there's another, quieter connection. Both shows use legacy material to empower new stories. Buffy took vampire lore, cinematic monster tropes, and campy horror influences and built something modern and character-focused. Strange New Worlds is doing the same thing with decades of Trek mythology, combining canon reverence with fresh angles, remixing the familiar while reinventing character arcs. See Spock's human/emotional journey or Uhura's linguistic mastery. Is this a bad thing? Absolutely not. Some might hear copying Buffy and assume it's a criticism, but in this case, it's a compliment. Buffy remains a landmark in genre television because it wasn't afraid to break rules. It made big swings. It took emotional risks, and it trusted that audiences would appreciate the experimentation. Strange New Worlds is doing exactly that. The era of safe Trek, where episodic storytelling avoided stepping too far out of tone, is over. Modern Trek thrives on variety. One week, it's a rom-com, another it's a high-stakes time travel thriller. and the next it's a musical extravaganza. That's Buffy energy. Unapologetically weird, unapologetically heartfelt. If copying Buffy means embracing bold,